there. Well, this day I'm going to show you how to do a little bit of some basic scripting. The last episode I did, I showed you how to place units down onto a custom map and kind of fiddle around with looking around for all of those units. This night I'm going to try to get you acquainted with scripting a little bit so that way you can actually program your units and computer factions to do a couple of things so you don't have to, do them manually yourself every time. Alright, so scripting. As I showed you the last time, you go up to here, Edit Scripts, and what you want to do is you want to go to Player 1, and you go over to New Script. Now there's a couple of different ways that you can do this. There's conditions for your script, so that way if something specific happens, then your script can be triggered, but we're not going to do that. We're just going to do a basic sort of layout here. Alright, so instead of that we're going to go to Actions if True, and go to New. So, your scripting for units is usually going to be found in this one. Unit includes structures, action. You can also do unit includes structures other, but most of the time what you want is in here. This is what I'm going to show you tonight anyways. Alright, so in this case I'm going to show you how to use specific units' special powers. So like, I don't know, Saruman's lightning power. So we're going to go here, special power, or excuse me, sorry, command button. Alright, so now you have a whole list here, obviously. The easiest one that I have found to do is going to, let's see, using it at a waypoint. So that would be like having a specific area on your map where the power will be activated. So we already have a waypoint. The last time I was talking to you guys, I showed you how to set up the camera so that way it would always be at a default spot instead of at your base. Well, we're going to use waypoint 15 here for it. Well, we have to have a unit first. So let's go back for just a second. And we're going to go find Saruman. Let's go over to by native type, like the last time. And you go down to Isengard unit. And it'd be all the way down to Isengard Saruman, right here. Okay. Now you want them to be at player 1, like I told you the last time. And experience level, I can't remember exactly what level he has that lightning power, but I'm just going to put him at level 10. I should note, by the way, that this is for vanilla ROTWK. This is not for AOTR this time. This makes it a little bit easier than what you'll find in AOTR, although it works basically the same, like for units, but I want to show you a couple other things that make it a little bit harder in AOTR, so I'm just going to keep it simple and keep it here. Alright, so in order to use him, to script him to do something very specific, you first have to go up to the General tab and you have to name him. So I'm going to just name him something simple like Saruman 1. Now, we want him to cast lightning. Now he could cast it at any point, as in like on anything, just basic terrain on a unit. I don't want him to just cast it on nothing. So we're going to place down a unit, and I'm going to put the Isengard Pikeman Horde. Since we're going to be using waypoint 15, I'm going to place them right there. Okay. Let's make sure that they're the right one. Yep. And I'm going to make them player creeps like I taught you guys the last time. So that way they are an AI unit that just basically stands still. I don't want it to be like an actual bot that you would play with. Alright, so I'm going to go up to save. Now we're going to go back to scripts. Go to player 1. Now I didn't make the script, so I have to kind of do all of that all over again. New script. Actions if true. New. And unit action. So command button. You go up to here. And then use command button ability at a waypoint. Alright. So you go here. Click on unit. And then go down to Saruman 1. Or whatever it is that you wanted to name your unit to. And use ability. Go up to the drop down. Saruman Thunderbolt. And you can do this for any of his abilities, of course. Lizard Blast, Speechcraft to level up your units, Dominate enemy to take them over. And you can place them in any of the default stances as well. Guard stance, or aggressive, or whatever. Alright, so we're going to use the Thunderbolt. At waypoint 15. Easy. Alright, hit OK. Always hit apply first before you exit out of the scripts. Alright, let's pull it up. There he goes. Easy.
Victory is at hand.
Alright, now let's say that you want to, I don't know. Let's see. Use a specific power, like what you call it, your summon powers. Or, you know, whatever, your spellbook powers is what I'm trying to say here. Trying to remember exactly where to go for doing that now. So you go up to player. Now there's two different player options as you can see here. There's player with an underscore and player. Don't go to player, underscore. This is something completely different. So you go up to player, and then you go down to special power, I believe. Let's see. Yes. So fire at waypoint. Okay. Now this is going to be a little odd because in order to use a special power, you first have to grant yourself that power. As you know, you have to have all those prerequisites. So you have to go over to upgrades and sciences first in order to grant yourself a special power. So you want to go down to grant a science to a given player, ignoring prerequisites. So that way you don't actually have to go through and actually have the individual powers that lead up to it first. So player 1. And this is where I was talking about, this is going to be a lot easier here than in AOTR. With AOTR, if you remember right, I actually did show you how to use Restore Man to grant yourself every single power. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be able to use them in a script. If you want to use them in a script, you can't use Restore Man, at least as far as I understand. You have to have been granted the power first before you even start the game. And this is the only way to do it. Alright, so in this case, we're going to stick with, Army of the Dead. That's always a fun one to use. But if you go down, I mean, they're relatively simple to find in ROTWK and BFME2. They're very straightforward, but in AOTR you have a way, way longer list because of all the different patches that they've done. And not all of those names have been updated to the current ones. So sometimes you have to know the older ones first. They only come up with the older names. There was one for the Lothlorien. I'm trying to remember what I was trying to do with that. I can't remember now, but I had to actually look up online the original name for it from way back in an earlier patch, like a 5.0 or a 6.0 patch. It took me forever. I almost couldn't even find it. So this is what I want to try to save you guys. Don't do that to yourselves for beginning. Alright, so as you can see, you can go through all of them, and they're pretty straightforward. Alright. Army of the Dead. Okay, now we're granted it. I know that we just used Saruman, but I'm using the Men of the West faction. By the way, it should be noted here that when you grant yourself a power through the Upgrades and Sciences script, that power will be granted to you only if you play that specific faction that has that power. So in this case, because I'm playing the Men of the West, even though I'm using Saruman, I can get the Army of the Dead power. But if I were to choose a different power from another faction, like the Dragon Summon ability from Isengard, I would not actually get that power. As long as I'm playing the Men of the West faction, I would have to exit out and re-choose my faction to actually get that specific power. I don't know how or even if you can get any power that you want from any faction, regardless of which faction that you play. If there's a way to do that, I have no idea. Let me know if you know or you find out. Also, I am granting myself the Army of the Dead power here. There is a way that you can just have the Army of the Dead power used, even without you actually having been granted it, and you'll see this later. I'll end up using it without actually having it accessible to myself. It'll be the script that operates it and not me. And you'll see how this plays out later, that I can't actually select it. So we have granted ourselves a science. Now, you can either keep the triggering of it at waypoint 15 at the same script that you just made, or you can go to another one. So we're just going to go to the same script. Alright. Hit copy there, and that way you don't have to go through all the rigmarole again. And then go down to, or up to, player, special power, fire at waypoint. So player 1, fire special power, Army of the Dead. Alright, sometimes you have to go through this and search them out, but an easy way to just figure out where it's at, you go all the way down. These are special abilities for all of your different units and heroes. Special ability, and then the name. But you want to go down to spellbook power, or spellbook. Yeah, spellbook Army of the Dead. And again at waypoint 15. Okay, now as you can see, player 1 fires special power, spellbook, Army of the Dead. At waypoint 15, hit apply, and then OK, and then save. Gonna go down here, hit restart. Overkill there, I'd say, but you get the point. Yeah, that's pretty simple scripting for you there. Now, let's say that you just wanted to turn off one of them, so that way it's not always activated, like in this case with the Saruman lightning bolt. Go back up to scripts. We'll go back over to this script, and this is where it gets a little tricky. If you have them all under one script folder like this, you'd have to deactivate all of them at once in that folder. So you just right click on this and click that, and now it's deactivated. See that little red X? So you'd have to put, it depends on how you want your scripts, of course. If you want one to be triggered and one not, obviously you'd have to put them in individual folders. I don't know of any other way to do that. One of the other things that I wanted to show you was how to trigger these and not just have them automatically be used as soon as the game starts if you want it to be under a specific condition. So go back up here. So let's say, oh, yeah, so if true. So just make sure that it's highlighted at true. Go over to new. Trying to think of an easy way of doing this. Let's do this. We're going to name our unit Creeps 1. All right. I'm going to put them back. And if you need to delete a script, you can just do this. So you wanted to delete Army of the Dead, obviously you just click on it and hit delete. Boom, easy. Alright, now we want to trigger this. We want this to be something very specific, so it happens only at a specific time. So I'm going to go back over to here. Script conditions. And hit new. Alright, now you go down to unit, include structures. Now in this case, I'm going to have the Army of the Dead triggered for if this Creeps unit dies. There's all kinds of ways that you can trigger here. So I'm going to go down to this here, attack, destroyed, or exists. Unit is destroyed. Creeps 1. Alright. So if unit creeps has been destroyed, then, well, I'm sorry, this is for granting me the science. What I wanted to do was something completely different. Let's try that again. See, this can get a little funky. Let's see, player. Alright, so yes. If true, then fires Army of the Dead at waypoint 15. So we're going to zap them with the thunderbolt. Let me just make sure. Oh, yeah. And we're going to fire that on there. So what we want, we're going to have a couple other creeps just for kicks. Now, as you can see, they're all named Creeps 1. You don't want that, obviously, because otherwise it would take all of these guys to be killed first in order for the Army of the Dead to be triggered here. So you want to delete them, since I copied them. Just get rid of that name or rename them something else, and then you can Control C, like I showed you in the first video, and then Control V. So Control C to copy, Control V to paste. All right, let's take a look. All right, he's going to zap him. Army of the Dead is triggered. And go to your spellbook powers menu. As you can see, we don't have it for some reason. I thought that they would have granted it. It should have, but for some reason it did not. Let's take a closer look at that real quick, because that should have been in there. Oh, I see now. I see what I'm saying. This can get a little jarring, a little confusing. That's all right. That's all right. Go over to new script. New. Yeah, I was talking about in the first episode I did with you guys that this stuff requires a lot of patience. You can mess up pretty easily if you don't read the fine print. There's an awful lot of fine print to be read. So we'll go over to special power again, or excuse me, I keep doing this to myself. See guys, it happens even to the best of us. Okay, now that I've redone that, let's check it again. Only this time. Now let's say you also, that you just don't want the um, the powers to be triggered at all without having to, deactivate all the scripts like I showed you. A very simple way of doing that, you just highlight all the units that are in question where they would be triggered, and then you can go over to renaming them to a player that's not even going to be used. You could use any one of these, but I always like to go to Team Player 4, Player 4, Team Player 4. Now, Saruman's lightning bolt is still going to be triggered because that's Waypoint 15, but the Army of the Dead obviously is not going to be. Alright, let's just go and check, make sure that we have that power now that it's been granted to us. Yep, see, there it is. Just zaps the ground. Boom. Army of the Dead. So that's basic scripting in a nutshell. The scripts is quite the science to have to learn, as you could see from that that list that I was showing you here of all the different possibilities. You can basically do anything that you want. There's some of these that I don't even know anything about because I've never used them before. You'd really have to kind of fiddle around with a lot of them, do a lot of trial and error. Oh, here's a simple one. Here's a simple one. If you want your unit to move to a specific area without doing anything else, go down to Unit, Action, Move. Oh, this is a fun one. You can actually cause your units to teleport around, which is exactly what it sounds like. So, I'll just have him go to Unit, Move to Location. Unit, like before. Saruman 1. Waypoint. 15. Okay. We're going to make this a little bit more interesting, though. Let's say you want more than one unit. Well, you can do that too. So I'm going to put him way up there. And I'm going to actually modify this. Well, no. Okay, so this is a good idea here. So if you want more than one unit, unfortunately you can't do more than one unit in one script like this. You have to keep adding units in. I mean, however many you want, you can have a whole list of units down here. So we're going to have creeps 1 as well as Saruman 1. Move down there. Now I'm going to deactivate that lightning bolt script. Oh no, let's actually go ahead and keep it. Yeah, that could be more interesting actually. But we'll deactivate the Armor of the Dead one. If you want to, you can do that. I'm actually going to keep it now that I'm thinking of it. Yeah, this is all raw, folks. This is all raw. Oh, now this is another good example here, actually, because what's going to happen is that we're going to have two scripts conflicting. Remember, we had Saruman firing that lightning bolt at waypoint 15. Well, he's also supposed to move to waypoint 15. Well, we don't want that. It won't actually happen, as far as I understand. I think that those two scripts will conflict. He can't move and fire at the same time, so nothing is going to happen. Let's see. So in that case, depending on what you would want to do, let's just go ahead and say if Saruman moves there, then okay, so go over to new. Let's see. So this gets very confusing as well because this is all very logically centered. Okay, so this works a little bit differently here. I don't think there's a specific thing that says if your unit moves to a waypoint, it has to be in an area. Alright, so in this case, yeah, I'm pretty sure this is how it's done. Alright, so I'm going to show you how to make a specific area then to kind of trigger what we were trying to do here. Alright, I'm going to cancel out of everything. So we go up to Waypoint Tool. Okay. Nope. Sorry, I just did something completely different. Like I said, it's been a little while. Oh, here. Polygon Tool, sorry. So you go up to Polygon Tool, and what you do is you just make a little square area here. Boop, 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 boop. And so this is a pretty cool little feature here. You can actually do whatever you want with it. Stretch it out, make it as big as you want. And this is going to be our trigger area. Now normally when I have to do this, I try to make it as small as I can. But depending on however you want to do it, you can make it whatever size you want. Now this is called Area 1, as you can see. You can name it anything that you want though. I'm going to hit save. Okay, now we go back to the Saruman thunderbolt thing. Where was it now? Ah, no. This one. If Saruman moves there, alright, let's see. Go over down to unit, and then area or path. If Saruman enters into that area, okay, creeps 1, area 1, then he fires that thunderbolt. Hit apply. Okay. So now we're going to see him move there and creeps move there. Ah, see, almost forgot to bring that back to creeps. Boom. Okay, and there's that. And we're going to try it. We're going to see them both move there, and then they'll trigger that thunderbolt.
That must be the enemy.
Ah, so this is interesting. This is a little... Oh, there. Yep, sometimes that happens. You have to kind of time it right if you're going to do this sort of thing. Oh, you're dead now. Yep. So there you go. Basic scripting in a nutshell. There's a lot more that could be said about all kinds of stuff. I'm hoping to be able to show you a few more things like how to set up a waypoint path. You saw me do that for just a hot second there briefly by mistake. You can actually cause units to move along a specific path. So what I did earlier was I went up to Waypoint tool. This creates a new waypoint, and what you do is you just hold down right click, or excuse me, left click, and now you got this little red arrow there. And you can make that as long as you want it. Boom. Now you got another waypoint. Boom. And you can just keep going with that, however you need it. And then you go up to scripts. Let's say you wanted Saruman to move along a waypoint path. You go back to that. Unit follows a waypoint path. And you can start it at waypoint 18 in this case. That's where it's going to go. Watch. Oops. Now this is going to be a little different. See, there's no waypoint here. So what you're going to have to do is go straight back out. And I'll show you exactly what it is here in just a second. So all you really have to do is just relabel that waypoint, starting at waypoint 18 in this case, and we'll just relabel it as waypoint 18. But you can name it whatever you want for that waypoint path. See, there it is now. Now you can work with it. As far as I remember, it doesn't really matter where the unit is on the map. By the way, I'm going to disable him, so that way we don't have any more unexpected incidents. I don't think it matters where that unit is on the map. I think it'll automatically go from wherever it's at to this specific point first and then follow it. So let's find out. Hold on for a second, I gotta save. Always make sure to save. Okay, here he goes. He's going right to that waypoint, waypoint 18. And there he goes. He's following that waypoint path now. That's it. So yeah, there's a lot of little tricks like that about triggering things and having your units follow specific codes. You just have to kind of fiddle around with it. But if you have any questions, just let me know. I'd be more than happy to show you anything or answer you anything. Answer any questions you might have in the comments and help you out. I know this is a hard thing to do. All right. Good luck out there. Bye.